Welcome to Herdley, where each book is distilled into a chronological story, offering you a special journey in just minutes. Today, we listen to Harper Lee's To Kill a Mockingbird, in which we probe into how deeply ingrained societal prejudices shape justice and human connection. Harper Lee was born in 1926 in Monroeville, Alabama. Don't go away. Herdley the editor will be right back with the story. In a sleepy town in Alabama during the 1930s, young Scout Finch, her older brother Jem, and their friend Dill spent their summers exploring and challenging their imaginations. Their days were filled with innocent mischief, but one mystery overshadowed all their playful games: the Radley house. It was the home of Boo Radley, a man who never left his home, and the children's curiosity about him became a central part of their lives. Scout and Jem, guided by their father Atticus, were just beginning to understand the world around them, one where childhood curiosity and imagination collided with the adult complexities of fear, rumor, and prejudice. Scout, full of questions and eager to follow her brother's lead, recalls how their games often revolved around the elusive figure of Boo. "We never saw him. People said he existed, but Jem and I had never seen him," she narrates. Boo became a source of fascination, a puzzle the children felt determined to solve, even though they had no idea how dangerous that pursuit could be. Jem's dare to touch the Radley house fence was their first attempt to make Boo come out, a moment that filled them with both thrill and dread. Even when they thought they saw a shutter move, it didn't stop them from coming back. Meanwhile, their father, Atticus Finch, a lawyer in town, remained a constant pillar of wisdom and patience. Through his calm demeanor and respectful treatment of everyone in the town, Atticus taught his children valuable lessons about empathy, fairness, and the importance of understanding others before passing judgment. "You never really understand a person until you consider things from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around in it," he would tell Scout. The small town of Maycomb, while seemingly peaceful, simmered with undercurrents of racial and social tensions that Scout and Jem were too young to fully grasp. Their innocence shielded them from the harsh realities of the adult world, but those barriers would soon come crashing down. Atticus's involvement in defending a black man accused of a terrible crime was already looming on the horizon, and this would change their lives forever. This period of childhood exploration and innocence sets the stage for the deeper and more complex moral dilemmas that lie ahead. As Jem and Scout begin to see the world for what it is, their perception of justice and fairness will be tested. The mystery of Boo Radley is only the beginning. Soon, they will witness real-life events that are far more unsettling than the ghost stories they whisper. And their father, Atticus, will be at the heart of it, guiding them through the turbulence to come. As the summer of 1935 unfolded in Maycomb, the light-hearted innocence of childhood gave way to a harsh reality. Scout and Jem, still reeling from their youthful curiosity about Boo Radley, were now faced with a much darker mystery: the injustice surrounding Tom Robinson, a black man falsely accused of raping a white woman, Mayella Ewell. Their father, Atticus Finch, had taken on the impossible task of defending Tom, knowing full well that in the deeply segregated South, the color of a man's skin could condemn him before any facts were presented. The courtroom became the center of this storm, a place where Scout and Jem saw their father standing alone against a tide of prejudice. They watched as Atticus skillfully and calmly dismantled the accusations against Tom, revealing the inconsistencies in Mayella's story and exposing her father, Bob Ewell, as the true villain. Scout, sitting in the colored section of the courthouse, sensed the gravity of the situation. Jem, growing older and more aware, believed in his father's ability to win the case, his faith in justice still intact. But as the trial progressed, the children began to realize that the truth wasn't enough. In one poignant moment, Atticus stated, "But there is one way in this country in which all men are created equal. There is one human institution that makes a pauper the equal of a Rockefeller, the stupid man the equal of an Einstein, and the ignorant man the equal of any college president. That institution, gentlemen, is a court. Atticus's words carried the weight of truth, but the reality they faced was far from equal. Tom Robinson's fate was already sealed by the color of his skin, not by the facts laid bare in court. When the guilty verdict was delivered, it shattered Jem's belief in fairness. He couldn't understand how the jury could convict an innocent man, especially after everything Atticus had done to prove Tom's innocence. This moment marked the true beginning of the children's loss of innocence. Scout and Jem were no longer shielded by the safety of their home or the simple adventures of their childhood. They were witnesses to the cruelty and irrationality of their society. This turning point not only changed the way they saw the world, but also how they viewed their father. Atticus's courage in the face of overwhelming odds gave them a new understanding of what it meant to stand up for what's right. Even when the battle seems unwinnable, his quiet bravery would become the foundation of their moral compass. But the story doesn't end here. The aftermath of the trial brings even more danger as Bob Ewell seeks revenge for the humiliation he faced in court. The children, already grappling with their disillusionment, are about to confront a new, darker threat as the lessons of courage and morality continue to unfold. In the wake of the trial, the air in Maycomb felt heavier. Tom Robinson's unjust fate weighed on the town, but it was Bob Ewell's lingering presence that stirred real fear. Though Atticus had done all he could to expose Bob's lies, Ewell's hatred only deepened. He wanted revenge, and it was clear he wouldn't stop at humiliating Atticus in the courtroom. Scout and Jem, still reeling from the verdict, were unaware that the danger was coming straight for them. It was on a dark October night in 1935, after the town's Halloween festivities, that the storm finally broke. Scout and Jem were walking home in the pitch black, Scout encumbered by her ham costume from the school play. Suddenly, they were attacked. Bob Ewell, fueled by his anger and cowardice, saw this as his chance to exact revenge. Jem tried to protect his sister, but they were both overpowered. Just when it seemed there was no escape, a mysterious figure emerged from the shadows, saving them. Scout didn't realize it at first, but it was Boo Radley, the man she and Jem had spent their childhood trying to understand, who had come to their rescue. Boo carried Jem, unconscious and badly injured, to the Finch house. For the first time, Scout came face to face with the figure who had loomed so large in her childhood imagination. When I pointed to him, his palm slipped slightly, leaving greasy sweat streaks on the wall, and he hooked his thumbs in his belt. A strange small spasm shook him, as if he heard fingernails scrape slate. But as I gazed at him in wonder, the tension slowly drained from his face. His lips parted into a timid smile, and our long visitations from the house next door were over. The mysterious Boo was nothing like the monster they had imagined. Instead, he was fragile, kind, and brave. Sheriff Heck Tate decided to protect Boo by claiming that Bob Ewell fell on his own knife during the struggle. This act of mercy showed that sometimes bending the law is necessary to protect the innocent, even when justice is complicated. Scout, now seeing Boo not as a phantom, but as a man, reflected on her father's advice. Understanding others requires stepping into their shoes. As Scout walked Boo back to his house, she realized how wrong they had been about him. He wasn't a figure of fear, but one of quiet protection. In that moment, Scout's understanding of the world deepened. Just standing on the Radley porch was enough. She could finally see things from his perspective, recognizing the quiet courage it took for him to step out of the shadows and defend them. This final revelation marks a turning point not just for Scout, but for the moral heart of the story. Empathy and understanding are not simply virtues, but essential tools for navigating the complexities of life. While the town of Maycomb remains scarred by prejudice, there is hope in the lessons Scout has learned, a belief that individual acts of kindness and bravery can cut through even the darkest moments of injustice. As Bob Ewell's threat fades, the story leaves us not with vengeance, but with redemption, showing that true courage is often found in unexpected places. the children's journey from innocence to a more profound understanding of human nature comes full circle. When childhood innocence confronts deeply rooted prejudice, it reveals the harsh realities of injustice, as seen through the eyes of Scout and Jem. Their father, Atticus, teaches them that true courage comes from standing up for what's right, even when the odds are against you. Empathy plays a vital role as Scout learns to see the world from Boo Radley's perspective, challenging her initial fears and misconceptions. This story shows how understanding others can change the way we face injustice and shape our moral values. As the editor of Herdley, I believe that through learning these stories, we can strive to see beyond the surface of others, embracing the power of quiet actions to shape a more compassionate future. The key argument we explored was how deeply ingrained societal prejudices shape justice and human connection. A powerful story that reinforces this comes from the night after the trial, when Atticus finds a mob gathered outside the jail where Tom Robinson is being held. The mob, intent on lynching Tom, is blinded by their hatred and racial bias. Just as tensions reach their peak, Scout unknowingly intervenes. Her innocent conversation with Mr. Cunningham, a member of the mob, reminds him of his own humanity and breaks the spell of collective anger. Scout recalls, "I looked around and up at Mr. Cunningham, whose face was equally impassive. Then he straightened up and waved me to the side." This small moment of empathy, sparked by a child, diffuses the entire situation. This scene is a reminder of the immense power that personal connections have in countering prejudice and hostility. It underscores how even the smallest acts of kindness and understanding can alter the course of events in profound ways. In reflecting on these themes, we see that courage isn't always about grand gestures. It's about standing firm in the face of injustice, like Atticus did, and reaching out with empathy, like Scout. These lessons in moral courage and human connection are timeless and encourage us to question the values that shape our world.